All right, this car's running. I do have a host of lights on, but that's only because the guy it's a long story. This car, a guy brought the car with a host of problems. But I'll just have this um, more outro. I guess the final diagnosis and repair and stuff as like the more the forefront of things because um, I I couldn't code the vehicle, but the thing is, anything that I could have inputted in the gateway, I'm pretty sure it would have stuck. But everything matched from the old one to the new one, and I guess that's why all the modules were communicating. Except for the instrument panel. I think it was the instrument panel, and the only three codes in the body control module was failed communication with that and something with the navigation, the radio. But the radio's working. I could literally turn it on, and I could literally turn the radio on, and it works. So radio works. CD player will work. Oh, damn, turbo's hot. Everything seemed to be fine. I test drove the vehicle. It had its normal problem as far as drivability go, but again, the car wouldn't start up. You'll see that since it's going to be at the front of things. So this video is primarily going to be just diagnosing the computer and just what I went through and my problems with getting the Gateway module installed. So you're not going to have from what I understand, you're not going to have the same signal on the CAN gateway as if you would having going into the gateway module. So you're not going to see those high and lows. You're just going to see some straight up current voltage on the data link connector. So not to get confused, but I matched up the part numbers except for that last letter. Everything else, the SJ8 was a match. Some of the other numbers on here were a match, and it worked. I'm going to inform the customer. I really would suggest to go to the dealership to get it properly programmed, but I don't have the technology to do it. So it'll happen at some point in time. But again, this video is not going to be a legit repair, only because I couldn't program this with the MS906BT. I'm pretty sure it has the means of altering the information in here, but as far as changing part numbers or flashing or whatever, I guess I'm not going to be able to go more in depth with the scan tool until I start getting subscriptions and equipment that allow me to do that. So, but as far as switching these body control modules over with the very similar part number, for the exception of the last letter, it still operated. It still started up like normal. Radio came on. All the modules I can communicate with no problems. Again, for the exception of the few you'll see. So, if you're looking for a legit repair, it's not going to be in here only because, again, I don't have the means of properly programming it with the scan tool I got. But hopefully somebody can learn from my mistake about what I've done. I did try to diagnose the computer first. That was the first thing I thought of. But until I started looking at how the system legitimately operated, I followed that to this module here. I got to the point where I just pulled the box apart, pushed down on the transistors, and it popped it back in. Tried to communicate with the scan tool while at the same time beating on it with the back of a screwdriver, and it came back online strangely. I don't know. Maybe it was because it was disconnected for 2 days. Maybe it's got a fail safe inside of it. It doesn't make any sense for this to just detect a problem and fall off for a few days and come to later. So if you're looking for like a straight up repair, this is not going to be it. But hopefully, if you see all mistakes, there's something you can learn from and take away from it. So the box has not been properly programmed, and it worked. And you'll be able to see me diagnosing the PCM. Maybe that'll be helpful for someone who actually has uh, the actual power train control module, that the ECU's problem. So so yeah. All right. Stay informed. Hit that subscribe button, and it's on to the next one. 2012 Volkswagen CC Sport. It's the turbo model. All right. I'm not gonna get into a rant about not liking Volkswagens, but I don't like Volkswagens. This is my first time ever working on this car. It has a plethora of problems. Okay, from a rear main seal leak, oil leaks, period. It came in originally for a water pump, which one of them resides under there. From what I understand, that's the one I'm supposed to be changing because they have a new one in the trunk. However, the car wasn't start. It'll hit, start up, and cut off immediately. Also, the belt's broken. I mean, this car got a host of problems, and I'm just, not even including me having it was towed in at a bad spot. But in all fairness, I had a customer car get towed to a Mercedes specialist because I don't work on some of those other vehicles, and you have to have certain scan tools to access certain information from certain manufacturers. And long story short, anyway, um, I got in the garage, and I need to figure out why there's no communication. And I'm going to show you what it's doing. Let me get in here. I think the battery's charged up. I got my jump box on it. All right, so I'm gonna start it up real quick, and you'll hear it. Oh shit. Oh. Yeah, okay. All right, the battery's a little too dead. Okay, shut up. All right, so, but what will happen? It'll rotate, hit, and then cut back off immediately. You can rev it up, like you have your foot to the floor, you can rev it up for like a second, and it's shutting right back down. Now, thing is, I can't communicate to any other module on this car. I think I'm linked up to this one. No, I'm not. I was working on something previously. So even the generic feature, if I go there, try to scan the car, there's no communication. So it'll just continuously load up, and there's nothing. But back out of the car. So while this is loading and it's not going to go anywhere, let me zoom out. So while it's not going to go anywhere, I'm just going to tell you basically what I've done up to this point. I've checked all the necessary fuses under the hood. I've checked all of them just to be on the safe side. And I've checked the other fuses inside the car on the left side in this little panel. So there's a fuse box here that I've checked. And one of them was questionable. From what I understand, there seems to be a lot of problems going on with this PCM that just spontaneously go out. Not a lot, like it's very common, but it is a thing. PCM failure on this, from what I found out. So what I'm going to do is I got the PCM is located under I can't remember, it's a collar, I can't remember the name of this, but right under the windshield. It's tucked away in there, and it's very accessible. Just lift up and pull it out that little compartment, and here we got it. So this might be a little lengthy, as most of my diagnosing videos are, but I need to narrow it down and get this car working first before we would replace any mechanical part, such as the fuel pump. Another reason why they're willing to invest in this car is because the boy made this purchase of this vehicle, and he is stuck with the payments. So parents are like, well, we're just going to go ahead and fix it. And here it is. Here we are. So I've checked the basic fuses, and I'm going to go to the pinouts here at the PCM. and check all the necessary power and grounds going to that. And I do have a wiring diagram pulled off to the side that I'll be referencing. And in the meantime, what I'm likely going to do is check for regular voltage first with the meter, and then actual voltage to ensure that this is not a biased voltage that I'm getting, like voltage, but it's unusable. It doesn't pull any amps or anything. So it's got my jump block. Hopefully it's charging up. I'll just have the key on, engine off, of course, when I go through this procedure, and hopefully maybe we'll get lucky and find a broken wire. And that's me thinking the best case scenario, because I don't want to have to replace this computer. Oh, here you go. So it loaded up. This is what I'll get. There's just no communication. Now, when I go to the bi-directional feature of okay, I got you. So let's go to history. It says that that's what it came up with. It would communicate only with the transmission control module. All right, I know the battery's a little low right now. I'm gonna have to put a charger to it because that jump box and charging is acting stupid. I'm not gonna tell you where I bought it from. So let's go to. I'm gonna go to Diagnostics, and we're gonna just do an auto scan and see what comes up. But I couldn't connect to it with the generic feature, and bidirectionally, I was only able to connect with the transmission control module. So it's still loading up. We're almost 30% complete. Man, this is the only module I can communicate with. And I'm gonna just go ahead and pause it because I can save myself some time and everyone else. But these codes were cleared. This came back up. All right, lost communication with cruise control, front distance range sensor, data bus drivetrain missing message from instrument cluster, data bus drivetrain implausible message from electronic central electric TBD, data bus missing from diagnostic interface, data bus missing message from steering column, data bus message from east engine CM. So basically, there's no communication unless this data link connector goes from, I guess one of the first places going to go to the transmission control module and back out to the network. I'm assuming. I didn't look up the communication or the highway system for this vehicle yet, but I'm assuming, the transmission control module is one of the first things that's going to be probably linked up with this data link connector. I'm assuming. But I tell you what, I'm gonna first go off and check the power and ground for this ECM, and if I have the necessary powers, then I'm going to look and find out how this highway system operates, or the CAN gateway, and go from there. So let me get my stand. Let's get to it. All right, so we're gonna get started on checking these pins here. So I'm gonna use the black piercing probe because it has the sharpest point. I'm likely just going to disconnect them first, and if I find discrepancies, then I'll reconnect it. I mean, the PCM is a little hot right now. It's not hot, but it's warm. It'll be like that. So the first one is where I'm going to go is going to be T94 and 92 but this should be the 94 pin connector, and this is going to be the 60 pin connector. The larger one is going to be referenced as T94, and the 60 pin, the smallest one, is going to be T60. So first one I'm going to check, and I got the key on, of course, engine off, so I just got power going through the ignition. We're going to check T94, and we're going to check 92 pin. So this T94, we're going to go to the 92nd pinout. So if we're looking at the, I'm just going to just go over this very briefly. So if we're looking at it and you have a color code to confirm where we at right now. So this is 23 at the bottom. So, oh shit. So one starts here to my upper left, my thumb is, and all the way down to 94 pin down at the bottom. And we're going to 92. So 94, 93, 92. So it's gonna be the third one over from the bottom. And it's our red and black. And there's our red and black connector right there. So key on, engine off. We should have 12 volts going through this. And I'm using my black here. I'm just going to pierce the back. Test one's at the bottom. So 6 volts. Unfortunately, I do have. Let me get my charger up. All right. So I took the headlight fuses out, but the interior lights went out. So I'm not sure if that'll affect my testing. If I see any signs of low voltage on a pin that's supposed to have voltage, and I'll put that back in. But in the meantime, I got my battery on charge, so we got like 11 volts now, so it's getting up. So I think we're good. So I got 12 volts here, and now I'm going to check for actual voltage, which should make sure I got this. No, I don't have a good ground. That's why. Yeah, we just lighten up. All right, so this is good. 92 is good. We're going to 87, and 87 is going to be the green and black. It should be battery positive with the key on and crank. Key on and crank position. This power comes from fuse SC10. So I gotta figure out how to crank it. Oh man. All right. I'm only a one-man band, so shit, it's getting a little difficult already. So let's find it first. 87 was at 93. 210. Yep, right. Black and green right there. And this should be battery positive in the crank position, but I'm going to check it anyway. And yeah, so it's not going to show anything. So I really need to see 12 volts happening. All right, let me see what I can do. Okay, so my test light lit up, and I'm going to show you what I did over here. I know it's got a lot of wires. The reason why I didn't light up originally was because I had the fuses out. So those fuses do go to, see, yeah, I got it on 87 now, and it's the green and black wire that lit up. So the headlights are on, and it's killing the battery. That's why I pulled it out, but it's in the on crank position, so that's working. I'm gonna go to my next wire. So next we're going to T94, which is the big pin, and number 6, that's going to be the red green. Let's see, it says T94 6 red green, RO. I don't know what that means. I think that's red and green. And we're going to T94 and 3 red and green, and T94 5 red green. Should all have battery positive with the key in on and crank positions. So 6, 3, and 5 should all have battery positive in on or crank position. These powers come from fuse SB14 and have to be checked with the module plugged in and back probe. So I'm gonna leave it plugged in, and we're going to go to all the red-green wires. So we're going to start with 6 first, 635. Let's find 635. The smaller number should be in the back. Red and green. Let's put it up, pin up here. So 6, 3, and 5. Did I read that right? Red, green, and red, green. So red, green. Oh, they're back in the back over here. Okay, there they are right there. All right. So let me pull this out. I can't see that well. Just got it done with it plugged in. So so 6, 5, and we gotta go 3, which is at the bottom here, and they're all right there. 6, 3, 5. So I'm gonna plug it back in, and car's in the on position. And we're gonna check for basic voltage first. I should just go ahead and check for bias voltage, but we're gonna go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, let me plug these fuses back in. I'm just gonna go ahead and check this. Oh shit. You've got to be fucking kidding me, right? And the bulb got thrown somewhere. Shit, I wasn't recording. All right, let me get these fuses back in there. So power, and the other one here. Let's see, there's one tucked in the back. Power also. So all those 3 of those wires, 6, 5, and 3 have power. And let's move on to the next one. All right, so we're going to the ground supply next. It says verify the ground supply into the ECM. Check the circuits in the load state. Ensure that the voltage drops are present. So we're going to T94, so we're still going to the big one. That's going to be 1. So basically, we're going to be checking all the browns. We're going to 1, 2, and 4 on the T94 side of things, and we just got to make sure we got good ground. And I'm gonna do the same. I'm just gonna switch my voltage meter to the opposite side, to battery positive. And what that'll do will still supply, will let me know if there's bias ground or something like a. It'll still let me know everything. So it's basically doing the reverse of a voltage drop test, or looking for voltage on my fluke here. So if there was a bad ground or insufficient ground, the test light wouldn't light up as well. So that'll answer a lot of things. I'm just gonna look for brightness. So all right, so let's go to all the browns here, and on T94. So here we are. Yep, that's pretty good. That was pretty good, and that's pretty good. So we got all good grounds there. Moving along. So that was what numbers were those? Those were 1, 2, and 4. They were all brown, so they're supposed to have good ground. Now verify the communication circuits into the ECM. So if all the power and ground and communication circuits are okay, but there's no scan tool communication with the ECM, an internal issue with the module is indicated. So let's see here. It says T9468 orange and black is a CAN bus. There should be 2, 3, I think it's 2.5 through to 3.5 volts present in the pin with the key in the on position. Let's see, a pin T94 and 67 orange and brown. This is the low. So 68 is our high CAN bus, 67 is our low CAN bus. There should be also 2.5 to, well, 2.5 to 1.5 volts present on this pin with the key on in the on position. All right, so if ECM needs to be replaced, it will need to be coded and adapted to the vehicle's immobilizer system. So the only other thing I can do right now is get my oscilloscope, and we're going to hook up to these pins, the CAN high and CAN low, and get that linked up. I'm just thinking, like, shouldn't we see an average voltage with the multimeter? I mean, I can look at an oscilloscope and see the signal there, and I'm going to go ahead and do that also, but I'm just curious, what would I see if I hook my my test meter to this on the CAN low? So I'm going to still test this as if I'm using, like I'm checking voltage drop on negative and positive. So I'm on a positive right now. Let's see if my, what the fuck? All right, no, I'm on ground. So I'm on ground. So I need to check CAN high. Let me. I forgot what pins they were. Hold on. Okay, they're orange and brown. 67 and 68. Orange and brown. 67, 68. There's a lot of wires here. Let's flip this around. Orange and brown. There's orange down here, orange and brown, and those both are going to be what I need to be on right here. So let me get this pulled over so we can all see. So we're at our orange and brown wire. I can't remember what was what. I lost my position. What's going to be the low and high? I'm going to pierce one of them. So the key is still in the on position. I'm just going to pierce one, and one is displaying 1 volt. Let me go to the other side here, and I still got 1 volt. But then again, my battery's probably not charged up that well, so I really need to put the oscilloscope to it because it's going to be a pattern there. But I'm just curious to see what I would have seen with the multimeter here. 68 is going to be high. Where the hell am I at? 68 is going to be high. Let me pull this out. 26, 94. So from the right, my right, down to the left, it's going to be the high numbers. So 68 should be here on the right, my right. Should be CAN high. So we got an average voltage of 1.3, 1.2, 1.3. It's fluctuating. So the CAN signal does oscillate. Just I meant to add, I forgot, I kept forgetting that I do have the fuse out for the headlights because my battery's low. I'm gonna hook these back up, and we're gonna check those CAN gateway with just the multimeter, and see what comes up. So we're on, put this back on battery ground. Okay, so look now, that was my fault, and I didn't have that battery hooked back up, but now we have a higher range, which is a 2.2 volts, and that's well within specification. And we're going to go to high, which is 2.8 volts. So even average wise, these are well within specification per test meter, what it states. And I mean, I could go off of that, but for the sake of just, I mean, I had an oscilloscope. Why not just hook it up, right? That's off a little bit, but now, I mean, it's showing the voltage is supposed to, that was specified by Identifix. Strangely, I still don't have any communication with the other modules, but obviously there was something I had wiggled up there, and it's working like it's supposed to. I wonder. Right now I'm just moving the PCM around. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna make this into a couple parts here until I get this thing figured out. It's real strange that, you know, now we have adequate voltage when before it was making like literally millivolts. So you know, I don't think it was wiring. I don't think it was the battery. But hell, it could have been. But then again, you know, I had a battery charger too and a jump box. But that's me. I had took the fuses out for the headlights. So I'm going to let the battery charge up overnight, recheck everything tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I mean, if this thing starts up, great, but if it doesn't, I'm going to do another wiggle test and see what happens. But I think it's looking like a PCM is bad, honestly. So we'll see what happens. I'm changing my mind because what's happening now, I think what was going on, because the reason why the control area network wasn't performing like it was supposed to, probably because the battery was low. Even though I had adequate voltage, well, somewhat, the battery didn't charge long enough to have adequate charge, so the amperage wasn't that high to supply the voltage that it could for the headlights and all the other accessories. So I'm leaning towards the computer. I got it. The battery's charged enough to where we can see what it's doing, and I'm going to let you hear that now. So even though here we got some communication, we have a control area network signal. We just don't have adequate communication going to all the PCMs. And I don't think it's my scan tool. It's strange that the car would hit, but it wouldn't stay running. Because normally when the PCM is bad, it doesn't do anything at all. It wouldn't even run. But this is, it wouldn't surprise me if just strange things will happen. I don't think it's a crank sensor. Again, I mean, I can't communicate with the vehicle. I can't go into any modules. Even on the generic feature, I can't communicate. So I'm really leaning towards a PCM problem. So I'm gonna hook that up and see what happens. Maybe the Alltel is just not compatible with Volkswagens, but I never had this issue with other Volkswagens with the same year. So uh, I hate to pull the trigger on the PCM, but I'm gonna have to do a little thinking on this and really find out how the network operates with communication. Because I mean, it's receiving a signal and it's sending out a signal. I'm gonna have to sleep on this one. So I did a lot of thinking last night, and I'm like, it can't be the computer because what's happening is I can't communicate with other modules but the transmission control module. Um, Now, normally when a computer goes bad, I'll be able to communicate with other modules, just not that unit. Just like unplugging the unit. But for some strange reason, looking at how this system operates, all these units operates off of a CAN gateway system. So that highway system, they need to communicate. So I'm thinking there's some impedance or a break in the road somewhere to where this highway system can't flow. But strangely, I can get information from the transmission, but not from any other module. And there's like 10 other modules on here. I'm just assuming about 10, but you know what I mean, other computers. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm thinking there's a broke wire somewhere for the CAN gateway system. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna look at the CAN high on the PCM because I know there's some communication there, and I'm gonna go to the Daylink connector and check that. So based off of what I'm looking at, I just need to follow the path, you know. And I guess at some point in time I'll come to the break in the road, which is some discrepancy with this CAN gateway. So there's so many wires looking at the wiring diagram that are well within immediate communication with this data link connector to where I should be able to communicate with them more immediate than just the PCM. So it's not like things have to go to the PCM and back out. No, the gateway, uh, they're teed off. So it's just like having a 5-volt reference. Everything's teed off. So I have signal going in and out. What it says, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to decipher what kind of communication or what's been said. You know, I didn't construct this, and everything that I read in regards to CAN gateway doesn't really go really in depth. It's pretty much basic. So I'm not going to go off of what Identifix stated from the preliminary test I did and just shoot a computer in there because again, it doesn't make sense. I should be able to communicate with other modules. So I'm going to go to the data link connector, and for the sake of confinement, and I have a tablet I'm recording on, I can't really get in depth as far as like the tight places and stuff. So I'll just have to relay what I found out, but I'm just stating aloud what my plan is because I really lost sleep over this last night. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? But I digress. So I'm going to go from the data link connector and check this as I would any other wiring issue, and just have to pull everything off and do a resistance test and just keep looking at the wiring diagram. And at some point in time, hopefully, I'll find the discrepancy and I'll update. All right. So I think I figured out what's going on with this car. I don't have a doubt in my mind that this is the problem. So what we're looking at now is the PCM high side CAN gateway. Now, what's going on? Let me be honest. It took me a while to figure out where I was in this car because the information I had wasn't like really too accurate. I mean, I'm a little slow, so it need to be pinpointed, you know. But found it. So I'm spitting this interface here, this gateway module. So what's happening, from what I understand, this system is supposed to take all the highway as far as the CAN gateway system, the low and high, and everything's supposed to be consolidated inside of here, and it goes out to the data link connector. So how I'm figuring this is out, and I'm doing it just like I'm doing any type of wire test. I'm still going to check voltage and stuff on this, make sure it has adequate power, but that's the plan. But what's happening, I'm really close to figuring this out. So I'm hooked up on. I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. I'm hooked up on a CAN high. I came down here to the box, which resides this right to the right side of the pedal, and it's gonna be tucked up on the side here on this bracket. I got my finger on. All right, it should be on this. Yeah, on this bracket right here. So that's where this device is located. Now, there's several wires on here, but 5 and 15 are the ones that go to the data link connector, if I recall. Let me make sure. Okay, this is how I got it written out. The data link connector, and I just put data link module. I just threw that in there. This says it's an interface module, but so this is 6. So excuse my handwriting. On the data link connector, 6 is going to correspond with 19 on this interface module that I showed you. 14 on the data link connector is going to correspond with 9 on this interface module. So I did a ohm test on these two, going from the module to the data link connector, and I have very low ohms, which is good, so there's no broken connection there. 15 and 5 are the ones that are going to the actual highway. So now this is what I did. So 15 and 5 is going to my CAN low and high. Now I got my oscilloscope piercing pin here, and I'm going to pierce 15 and 5. Now I already did this, but just to let you know, I do have feed or information coming in and going back out, but I need to plug this unit in to make sure. But if it's actually reflecting, let me just get it hooked up. Okay, so I'm on 5 now. This is going to be, come on now, focus. So I'm on 5. This is CAN side low. This is CAN low. And is actually dropping. So let me, it was right. Keep screwing up. There we go. So I actually have something coming in. I'm, like I said, I don't know how to interpret it, but it is within the specifications. So I'm not going to steer off from there. So when I put it on CAN side high, the voltage do climb up and reflect the PCM CAN gateway. So my thing is like this: if it's reflecting what's coming in, the module's not hooked up, so I don't think it's gonna, like, it didn't look like that. The module's disconnected. But if I have flow coming in but nothing's coming out, I'm going to say this module, this interface is defective. But again, I'm going to check with power. Even though I checked the fuses multiple times, maybe there's some issues with power and grounds. So I'm going to check that, and I guess it would be nice if there was some power issues, because then I wouldn't have to replace this module. But if I got something coming in, nothing's coming out, it's really looking like this module's being bad. Okay, I think it's all right. I'll say this module's bad now. Reasons being, I checked my voltage on pin 1, which is the red and white, and that is supposed to be making 12 volts, which it is. Brown is pin 12 and it's supposed to be grounded. So I'm going to say this is defective, this interface module. Now I gotta find one. So that's the thing now. I gotta locate one. I gotta pull yourself yard around the corner, so I'm gonna try to go around there, see if they got one. But that's exactly what it seems like. And I mean, and it's strange that the car's not starting as a result of that. But at least, even if it's something else, I can still access the modules and see what's going on with it, because I can't diagnose a car blindly that way. I cannot. So, but check for powers and grounds on this. I also check the resistance value for the corresponding pins, and I also was capable of receiving the same high side signal and low side signal from the CAN gateway. So everything's coming in, nothing's going out, and we're gonna put another module in here. So let me see if I can go to the pull yourself and find this. So this is gonna be day 4 with the Volkswagen, the CC Sport. I want to give you a brief description of what's going on before I show the video of me diagnosing the computer and looking at the CAN gateway signals. What was going on? The car would ultimately start and stall. So I would try to start the car up. It would start and then it would stall. So one thing I've noticed also, the radio wasn't on. I couldn't communicate with nothing in the car. I mean, I had to take the Gateway Control Module out just to show you the exact same symptoms what was going on with this vehicle. Let me go back. So even in the bidirectional feature, I could only connect to the transmission control module, and so I'm gonna do that, do an auto scan with the body control module out, not the body control module, but the CAN gateway module out. So I can't begin to tell you the extent of the diagnosis I went through with this car, but everything pointed to the CAN gateway module, the exact same symptoms. If I took it out, it cut on, cut off. I can only access the transmission control module, and looking at the wiring diagram, it gets 12 volts from the, if I recall properly, it goes straight from the, I want to say data link connector. I want to say, don't hold me on that because it's been like a day since I looked at the diagram, but this is basically all I got. I'm just gonna stop it right there, and all the codes are pertaining communication problems. This is what I did. So it's like 3 days of not running. I basically pulled this unit apart, just took a flathead, pulled them out, inspected the connectors, the transistors, all the whatever microprocessors are inside of here, pushed all of them down, make sure there was nothing loose. And this was the 4th day, so I'm like, you know what, let me pop it back in there, and just after I push everything down and give it a couple taps with a screwdriver. And while simultaneously doing that, I went through the generic feature on here. Oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. So I went through the generic feature on the yaw tail, and while it was loading up, so I went through here, and while it was loading, I'll put it on auto scan. I just tapped it with a screwdriver, and it read. Like, it started loading up as if everything was normal. I'm like, what the hell? This is strange. And everything worked normal from there. Now, when I scanned it, I had like 50, 80 codes come up from all the modules. This is me. Let me see. So I have to probably show those pictures. But I had several codes come up, and all of them were related to communication problems. So let me get this back in there. All right, so all my codes somewhat look like this, but some of them had 10 codes in there, but none of them had a pass, no fault. And like I said, the car just continuously started up after the fact. I mean, I can start it up, it'll do what it needs to. And I guess, I don't know if it was because I had the body control, not the body control, I keep want to say it, the gateway control module disconnected for several hours, which I highly doubt, because I mean, I didn't see any capacitors in there unless some of those capacitors, or not capacitor, but some of those other components in there store energy. You know, something probably had a bad connection. But I mean, from what I understand, if I had everything coming in, as far as the from the CAN gateway, powers and grounds, there should have been no reason where I shouldn't have been able to communicate with no modules. This shouldn't have been a thing. I can understand that computer communicating with one module, but all modules, you know, that's kind of suspect there. So that's why I went with the secretary, as I call her, which is the CAN gateway module there. I don't know if this has the means of coding. I do have a new one on the way, or the used one the customers bought, so we'll see what happened with that. What else I want to say? I got the oscilloscope hooked up to, that's why I kept clearing it out and going back to it. I got it hooked up to the CAN gateway. Let me make sure my connections are really good. All right, so currently I do have voltage on my CAN gateway wires, which are the brown and, was it orange? Those wires are going to be twirled together on the data link. So I got about 2.5 volts to 2.3 volts on both connectors. So I do have current coming through now. But strangely, before I didn't have all this. It was zeroed out. So like I said, I'm still going to replace the module because I'll feel better knowing that there's something else in there than going with this old one, because strangely it's working now, which, you know, it's a little mind-boggling. But everything that I've done and diagnosed went straight towards that gateway control module. So I guess from here you'll just see me diagnosing the computer. If this information could be helpful to anybody with the Volkswagen, you know, at least I'll go through the wire and the pinouts for the Volkswagen CC 4-cylinder turbo. So I mean, I'll update if anything changes, but other than that, this is I guess it's just probably going to go, it's just going to be, you know, what I went through as far as diagnosing it, and somebody else have this problem, instead of just guessing at it, you know, they can narrow down the body control module. Again, I mean, one of the primary things is I couldn't communicate with any module. I mean, of course you want to check your fuses, but you know, even though I went as far as checking the computer, which I totally didn't have to, but that was just my ignorance. So, but you know, just my mistake passed on to somebody else. Hopefully they can watch it instead of experiencing it. All right, let me get my life together. All right, this is like the 5th day. I got a new gateway control module, and if everything goes perfectly smooth, I'm gonna learn a lesson if we can code with the MS906BT or not. So here's the other one. All right, so I got the other unit to work by tapping on it. So I'm gonna go in the system here, do a complete auto scan, see what's going on before I make a conscious effort to. I've taken snapshots of the gateway module coding wise, and I think I got all the information I need to get. I'm gonna try to put the same number in here that's in the factory one. So let me get all this linked up and let me see what codes are in common with all these units. All right, let me turn the AC down. I'm trying to get a car cooled down before I start doing this because I've been sitting out in the sun. So all these have in common was the brake ABS module issue. So it's a wheel speed sensor on the front left. Let me go to Central Electronics. Let's see what's coming up in here. Enable seat open, circuit short, front left. Okay, so these are miscellaneous. I'm not going to worry about these codes, but I am going to do a quick clear, even though it's probably going to be completely unnecessary because when I disconnect this, it's going to show up like 1,000 codes on here. So I'm just going to clear them all anyway. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a dot of white with the whiteout on the old module, but here's the newer used one we're going to put in here. So let me get those swapped out, and let me put them side by side. You can compare the two. So I got whiteout on the old one. This is the newer one here. They got the same part number in a 7NO907530G, and this has got a Q on the end of it here. So I'm thinking these line codes are, for the most part, the same. Like SJ8, SJ8, F1. You know, they're very similar, but mainly this number here is up here the same. So I don't think these ending letters mean anything specific. So I'm going to swap them out, and let me see what codes come up. All right, so the radio comes on, so it's kind of recognized. So I'm just curious. I just unplugged one and plugged another one back in. I'm going to cut it off, pull the key out, put it back in. Okay, the radio comes on, so there shows there's communication there. So let's go back and do a complete auto scan and see what happens. All right, here we go. Did a complete scan. These are the current codes now. So let's go to the engine. So there are faults in the gateway module now. I just want to see what pops up. Okay, still the ABS issue. Let's go back out. Central Electronics. Let's see what comes up there. All right, heating circuit. Let's go to the gateway module at the bottom. So here's the gateway. It's got 7 codes in there now. I want it's because I disconnected it. So yeah, so that's why, because I disconnected it. So I'm going to erase all these. I didn't do a quick erase. I'm just going to erase it because it seemed like it's going to start up. I didn't do anything. I just plugged it right on in. I'm just going to see what happens, and I'll see what comes right back immediately. So there's dashboard, gateway. Still came out with 2 codes. Radio, pass with no fault. Okay, let's see what comes. What's repeat in the gateway. All right, headlamp range control module, no signal communication. Control module for navigation CD mechanism, no signal communication. Control module incorrect code. All right, so this is what I want to figure out, how to work this out. So let me go into the gateway module. So let's go to coding since we're already in there. I forgot. Okay, please write down values before it, because so I do have everything written down, but I don't know. So yeah, software. So yeah, this is different from the one that was in there originally. I have it in another folder because I took a screenshot of. Let's see here. This is my gallery. So I took a screenshot. All right. So I'm guessing this is what this is. Again, this is my first time. So it says software coding 496. All right, let me go back to what's in the current module 46906. So this is software coding 4.6. Let me write this down. So really quick, I took a screenshot of on my cell phone with the values from the other gateway module. So this is what's in there, and I'm assuming these are what I have to redo. But I tell you what, I'm gonna put what I see here and make sure it matches up with the other one, and see what happens. But I'm still going to take a screenshot of the original one of all the information that's in here. So I'm going to go to set value. So I'm going to take a screenshot of everything I see. And I'll go back. Just going to take a look inside of these here. All right, so let me compare these two, and I'll give you an update. Let me see if the car start up. Okay. Wow. So I put the other one in there, starts right on up. I'm not sure what's the difference with it being coded and not coded. I'm pretty sure you'll just get a variety of check engine lights on because there's an issue with communication. But obviously it didn't seem to, I don't think it goes in drive and reverse fine. Huh. Okay. Let me see. All right. So I just want to see, it started up, and let me show you. I still got the old one here because I put the mark on it. So I didn't do anything yet, and it still started up. So, but let's see if we can clear the check engine light.